Okay, so it started. Let me know if that changed for you as far as the waiting.
Okay. Yeah, I just got a ping on my phone, so
Yeah, you got
something triggered.
it. Okay. All right. So should be fine. We'll see. All right. So live for a whole 2 minutes, and anybody who's watching is no longer watching because that was a boring intro. Sorry about that, everybody. But welcome to Humane Mind Live. This is what 95. Oh, did I not switch that to? Oh, okay. Here, I did switch it to 95. Okay. Whew. And the title is misleading. Sorry about that. There's no real discussion about Blaire White, but the pun was too good for me to pass up. So I have talked to Blaire White, well, not in person, but on Hangout streams and things like that. But we had a falling out after the whole Candace Owens situation, and I haven't followed their content. I have no idea what they're doing other than hearing little side comments about it. From what I understand, Blaire White was one of the people that was at Tim Pool's thing that happened over the weekend. That's what the topic I wanted to talk about. There's just no information about it other than it happened. So there was a couple people tweeting about it. There's pictures of people getting their picture taken with Lauren Chin and with Count Dankula and things like that. But that's about it. There was a protest, which was a group of like 20 people that stood on the other side of the road and just looked very low energy, like they didn't really know why they were there.
So what was this get together?
It was
I'm not that familiar
it
with
was Minds in Real Life or live event or something like that. Minds is a Facebook alternative. That's probably the closest way to describe it. Eventually, it will be a YouTube kind of competitor, but right now you can only store like a gigabyte of video. So, which is, it's not terrible, but considering you can't do much with you're limited on the file, the video size you can upload to Minds. You're also limited. You can't. There is no live stream feature and things like that, so it's much closer to Facebook. So there's a lot of message posting and submitting artwork.
it. Is that Jordan Peterson?
No, that
Up
Jordan
there?
Peterson's thing is something new. What was the name of that? Meeting of the Minds or something like that? Or
Okay. I know it said something Minds,
yeah,
or if that was the same thing.
but Minds.com has been around for 2 or 3 years. I know Computing Forever has been talking about it for a while. I joined a while ago, but I don't really use it. It's got this interesting mechanic where it's similar to like an idle game where if you're on the site, you get the currency that the site has. So if you stayed logged in, I guess it's maybe not you stayed logged in, but if you check the site every half an hour or hour, you get rewarded with Minds coins or Minds tokens or whatever they're calling them now. Which has become a tradable currency using Ethereum. So it's a Ethereum-based coin now. But its value is like 0.16 cents or something like that. It's like a fraction of a penny, so it's not. Each coin is pretty much worthless. But that mechanic of that is you get coins every so often, and you go to reward people for checking back in on their accounts pretty regularly. And if Minds actually gets a big enough following, and people will be doing that anyway, because people do that right now with Twitter all the time, but they don't get a reward for it. And what you can do with those coins is you can pay to have your content boosted, similar to paying for advertising, and like on Google's or on YouTube or Facebook, where you pay a certain amount of these coins, and you're guaranteed to get so many viewers. I guess it's not technically guaranteed, but your stuff will be pushed to the top until you reach the quota. Like you pay enough coins, you're like, okay, I want 200, and so you pay however much coin is required for that. Yours will be kind of front and center until you get 200 viewers, and then it goes back to where it normally would go. So that's a way. So it's an interesting mechanic. I don't think it's enough of a reward, and also the cost per view is really, really expensive. You're talking about like spending 500 coins for 50 views or something like that, and you get maybe 50 coins per hour or something. People can send you coins and all that sort of thing, but my experience with it, that was kind of
Now, does the rate of coins increase as viewership increases? So do you get a percentage?
That I don't know.
Then I can see if your channel's growing pretty rapidly.
Then you would get a lot of coins. You'd be
Yeah.
I don't think it quite snowballs like that. I haven't seen any mechanism that works along those lines. People can send you coins and all that sort of thing. So I guess if you got a big enough following and people want to donate to you then you can keep boosting your content. But
now, you know if it's all coins based, or do they do any sort of ad revenue?
I didn't see any ads on there.
They are with YouTube.
Yeah, I didn't see any advertisements on Mines, but I don't check it very regularly. That might be a thing.
Maybe once they get big enough, they'll start endeavoring in that realm.
But Mines is one of those social media sites that I did invest in. They had a it wasn't like they had a crowdfunding thing, but it was more than that. Where you could actually invest in the company itself. So when they went public, or when they go public eventually, you get shares of the company. I don't know if they've gone public yet or anything like that. I haven't checked. I haven't been following it much because it's been growing, but it's slow growth. It's not, it's not like PayPal or Facebook where they just kind of popped up overnight. It's growing pretty regularly, but not very fast.
Yeah.
But it's a good site. It does.
They were kind of first come first serve. There wasn't really anything that like that, but there was a need for it. So
yeah,
I think that's why they sprang up so quick.
Yeah. Whereas there's people already using Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, and those are the main three, and very few people are using anything else. So getting people to switch over to things like Mines and BitChute, it's they're of the opinion that if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Anyway, I forgot why did I get sidetracked on Mines and all? Oh, so the live event was related to that site, not it was an event that they were hosting and Tim Pool was, I guess, co-producing or something like that. So his event had a lot of famous people: Lauren Chen, Count Dankula, Sargon of Akkad, Blaire White was there. There's a couple other I don't remember the guy's name. The guy who was he went around talking to people from the KKK and just talking to them and just I don't know if it was an interview or just meeting them and kind of interacting with them, got them to change their views on black people because he is black. So I forget the guy's name, and I feel bad about that, but he's not a modern YouTuber. Milo Yiannopoulos. Like, I think Milo Yiannopoulos was there because I remember seeing his name recently, but I don't remember if that was the Mines event or if that was just the straight Pride Parade. But I know his name was mentioned at that thing. I don't know if he was actually one of the panelists or anything along those lines. But they had a pretty decently mixed crowd compared to other events. Other events tend to be really one-sided. Like VidCon is highly leftist, and they've got leftist panels talking about nonsensical topics and all that sort of things, whereas the Minds panels seem to have a real good mix of people from the right and people from the left and the center, which is I'm surprised they got some of the people to show up to this because they're more left-leaning creators, or I guess YouTube, or I guess maybe online influencer is the term, but they had a lot more left-leaning people than I would expect, considering the event, where they knew Count Dankula and Sargon of Akkad were going to be there, and they stepped into the place, even though they knew for certain they burst into flames just being in the just being in the same room as these evil people. Anyway, oh no, one of the people that was actually invited, she was supposed to be on a panel or something like that, but she started leaking information to the protesters and ended up walking out of the event altogether. So, because Tim was talking about that as well. So So she was a leftist, obviously crazy kind of journo person. Agreed to come to the event, and the entire time she was there, just made it miserable for everyone else. And then left and it's like, oh, they chased me out. And like, okay.
You were just being an a-hole.
You were just being an a-hole, and they asked you to leave, and you left. No one chased you out. Anyway, but they didn't. She wasn't escorted out by security or anything like that. So that's, so I say there's no real information about it, and then I talked about it for 10 minutes. All right. Yeah, but very, very little information about that. Hopefully I'll get... So they're supposed to be releasing some of the panels, because those were all videoed or filmed the entire time. Those are supposed to be being released. I don't know when. Possibly... I don't know actually what channel or where to look for them either, because I'm guessing Tim Pool is either going to host them on his channel or the secondary channel or something like that, or
I'm sure he'll at least mention it, have some videos about being on it.
Or have links to it and things like that.
Yeah, he's pretty good with that.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. So Gab has developed a reputation as being the place for people who get booted off of Twitter. They go to Gab because that's the only place, the next big thing, and the only place that will accept them. And Gab has a free speech absolute kind of guarantee. Although looking at the terms of service, so did Twitter when it started. So I don't have. I mean, the guys who are in charge of Gab and of Minds, I've seen interviews with them. They seem to be, up and up individuals. They seem to be, have free speech at heart. But their platform doesn't guarantee it, which was my complaint with their systems. Because as soon as, while they're running in charge, sure, everything's great. 2 years from now, they go public and a board, votes them out, and then they replace them with some, they replace them with Susan Wojcicki 2.0. Well, there goes Minds and there goes Gab. I don't think Gab's actually going to go public. I don't think that's their end game. Anyway, so I'm not quite sure about that. And actually, maybe I misstated that. I'm not sure if Minds is actually going to go public, but I knew that there was a chance of the investment increasing in value as Minds grows in size. So the more users and the more participants they get in their network, the more my investment is going to grow. But I did invest in that, and as far as I know, I'm just it was one of those things. It's like, yeah, just I think I only dropped like 500 on that or something like that. But
we'll see.
It's figured, I'll drop it, just drop it and forget it, sort of thing. It's one of those things is, by the time it pays off, it's going to be 10, 15 years down the road, if ever. So it was one of those things like, that seems like a good investment. Invested it, and then just kind of,
Yeah, but I mean, it still may go towards a good cause. I don't know exactly how that company is run or what their objective is, but more competition in the market, I think that's better.
Yeah, and especially since they're
the bigger companies to start handling their clients, their content creators with a bit more regard.
Yeah, well, the other thing is, since they're associating with and they're hosting events like this Minds Live event, I was like, oh, that's relative. I mean, that's big news, because that sort of thing is going to generate buzz about Minds. People are going to be like, what is, and then maybe that'll get people over there. The fact that they're big enough to start hosting events like this is pretty impressive, considering they're going up against Facebook. So, which is I think the pecking order is Google, YouTube, then Facebook, or maybe it's Google, Facebook, YouTube. As far as the most visited sites on the internet. I know Google is top dog because everybody uses Google before they get to anything else. I think it goes Google, Facebook, YouTube as far as the top three. All right. Okay. So I talked way too long about that. Unfortunately, I don't have any new, or I guess maybe fortunately or not unfortunately. I don't know. I don't have any news about Blaire White. It was just a funny play on words. But man, I was trying to think of a good transition and completely bombed it there at the end because never mind.
Just move on.
All right, I'm just gonna move on. The next topic I want to talk about is person who couldn't wear white on her wedding day. Boom. All right, there we go. Ilhan Omar made the news again for. Okay. She was in the news when she was elected as a congressperson. Oh, and one of the big controversies around her was her marital status concerning what people are claiming is her brother. And this week, she is making news again because of her marital status, in that she's sleeping with a married man and his wife filed for divorce. You're like, the controversies, you would think that if your name was already out there as being someone who is, or who has trouble with marriage, or has, like, you know, maybe skeletons in the closet and this, like, you think you'd go out of your way to avoid a situation like this. I guess maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse here. So, in the situation where she married her brother, it looks like that was to get a that was in the process of committing an immigration fraud, because from what people are claiming is it's easier to get a spouse into the country than it is to get a sibling. People have better luck with a spouse coming into the country than they do, like, say, a brother or sister. People are claiming that's the reason she was using marriage there. Now, when it comes to her new love interest, he was a married man, and she used campaign funds to pay the guy. So it's one of the situations, like, originally it made news because the lady filed for divorce, the wife of a man. I'll bring that news article up, actually. Oh, whoops, I've got my whole video hangout list there. Alright, those are my notes and my links, if you guys can. Those were showing the whole time. Alright, whatever. But, alright. So, here's a news article on it. So, let's see if this actually works. And it looks like it does. Okay, there I go. I just gotta click on it. Okay. So, you know, this is an article that claims Ilhan Omar stole my husband. We did talk about this last week, didn't we?
Yeah, I brought it up briefly.
Okay, yeah. It wasn't in my notes because you brought it up towards the end, and then... But there has been new news on this particular topic. So, you'd think somebody who had... Okay, so marriage in the first account is because, using it for something corrupt. And then marriage, or breaking up a marriage in this account, it's also related to some form of corruption. In the form that she used campaign fund. So he was working for one of the firms that was managing her campaign. And so, okay, then it makes sense for her campaign to pay his company. Campaign is over. He's traveling with Ilhan Omar for no conceivable reason, or for no expressed reason, and the campaign funds are still going to pay for his travel expenses. What role is he fulfilling right now other than keeping Ilhan warm at night? That's that Ilhan Omar and her campaign and all of her staff, nobody has given an official explanation for any of this. No one has said, never mind, it's just a harm... You guys are just misunderstanding, here's what's really going... None of that. It's just, you guys are bigots and Islamophobes for bringing this up. That's, the same old... How dare... Even criticizing me is because I'm a woman or because I wear a hijab. Like...
I mean, at the moment, it's all speculative. It just seems fishy, his pay rate, and that he's a consultant, of which we do not know the nature of his consulting. We don't know if that's what his company normally charges, or what his normal pay rates are.
Well, right now,
him out for unknown work.
Yeah. And right now, he should be getting 0 from her campaign because the campaign is over. He's not part of her staff. He's an independent contractor type thing. What exactly would he be doing, and why is he traveling with Ilhan Omar?
Yeah.
Seems like that. It seems like it should be an easy explanation.
The statements he allegedly made to his current wife or soon-to-be ex is that he's in love with the representative. It just makes the whole situation seem odd.
Yeah.
And that's the least of it.
So people are hopefully this is something people investigate or look into, at least just to find the truth, because this looks like a misuse of campaign contributions, which is illegal, similar to the marriage fraud, also illegal. So it seems like Ilhan has a history of that sort of thing. That's, can't say where there's smoke, there's fire, but here's the new thing that just came out like a couple of hours ago, or maybe earlier today. So this was Jack Sobek put this out there, but I actually go to the article itself. Oh, dang it! Did I? I'm not casting that, am I?
Nope. Still has the Ilhan.
Yeah. So let's go. Let's stop casting that, and then cast that. Oh. Alright. So. Let me do this then. Alright. Oh, sorry it's not full screen. Oh, dang it. That's not what I wanted. Oh, I guess I can't click on it and make it full screen. It goes straight to the article when I do. Anyway, so this is a picture of the guy that, she did. Well, see, it's very difficult to figure out if this man was married to her legally or not. This is a picture that's Ilhan Omar in the bottom left. That's this man who goes by the name Ahmed Elmi. Also pictured over in the other picture, again, both of them together. The people who are investigating this and the whole marriage fraud complaints, they asked. So the guy that they've been talking to confirmed that, yes, that is him, but he claims not to know who Ilhan is and was just there taking pictures with other friends and has no relation to Ilhan Omar, didn't even know who she was at the time, that sort of thing. But Ilhan, this Ahmed Elmi guy went to the same school she did, verified that he went to that school. Although the name the school was contacted regarding this, and they don't have anybody by that name with his birth date in their records, and they track records like that. That is something that they should be able to find this individual and the birth date. But according to the people who are investigating this, that's because he's giving a false birth date in order to give the appearance of being two different people. Because based on the explanations, he went to the school. There was an Ahmed Elmi that went to that school that has the correct birth date, or the birth date that they are. What's not speculating or assuming. That they have deduced is the correct birth date, and going off of that information, because they are making the presumption that he is lying about certain aspects of his personality or his background. Because it doesn't, the pieces aren't adding up. Okay, I did some investigation into this over the weekend. So, here's what, alright, I didn't do the investigation, I just looked through the articles and was reading through all this sort of thing, because it gets crazy. So, what they have, the conclusion they've come to of what happened. So, Ilhan does come from a large family, at least 7 total in the family, but when she and her her father and her sister came to America, the rest of the family wasn't able to come to America, and they actually went to the UK. So she only has a sister, that's the only sibling she's mentioned by name, and the only sister that she's acknowledged. who came to America, and then she has her father. And the father's name, this is an odd thing. So his name is Nur Omar is the name officially listed for him, but everybody on social media refers to him as Nur Elmi. But his legal name is Nur something Omar. So, but everybody on social media posts, there's all kinds of that sort of thing. That is verifiable. That is something that you can look up. People have referred to him as Nur Elmi. Now, the guy in this picture is Ahmed Nur Elmi. So wait, Nur Elmi. There's something else on the dad's last name, but so the way in Somalia the way the names work is your first name is unique. Your second name is your dad's name. Third name is your grandfather's name, and so on until however many names go. So that's where the correlation comes in, because this guy has her father's name as his second name, her grandfather's name as his third name, and great-grandfather's name is the last name. That's granted that there's the Wikipedia says that her father's name is something different. So what the journalists who have been investigating this, based on what they've found out, or through paperwork and legal stuff, I mean, so there's a bit of speculation in this, but this is how they've pieced they've got these individual elements, and the only way to make them all fit in a coherent story, this is how they've granted, it kind of sounds like Charlie with the Pepe Selvi. There is no.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds a little bit like that, but they've got these pieces of information that they know for sure, but so these are factual informations, but they don't fit together. They butt heads, and so they're like, okay, well, how could this possibly work and make sense in real life, because none of the people involved are talking about this at all. So, the father is going by a different name, and what their speculation is, in order to get asylum in the U.S., they actually incorporated themselves in with another family, with the Omars. Maybe, I don't know if they were related or some way, or if they're good friends or something like that. So the Omars got asylum in the U.S., and so Ilhan, her dad, and her sister came with the Omars into the U.S., because they couldn't get everybody in, but they could only get the three of them in. And they got them in with another family that had already been approved for asylum. So that's the understanding or the theory. Then it all kind of makes sense. It's like, oh, they all know their dad as Nur Elmi. And so when they're talking about him on social media, that's the names they use, because that's their dad's name. But legally, his name is Nur something Omar. So they all go by their legal names. Her legal name would be Ilhan Omar. But prior to the asylum and prior to coming to the U.S., it's presumed that her original name was Ilhan Nur Elmi. And her sister, similar thing. First name, Nur Elmi. That should be the pattern of all of these children. So this other guy has the same name, so that her husband, the husband on the legal documents, is Ahmed Elmi, and has the birth date of the guy who went to school with her. This guy is the only Ahmed Elmi, the guy in the picture, is the only Ahmed Elmi that they could that went to that claims to have gone to that school at that particular time as the man who legally married Ilhan Omar. They're like, dude, yeah, you're the same guy. You're claiming you have one birth date. The paperwork says a different date. That paperwork matches the marriage certificate. You're the one, the guy that they've been talking with via email and stuff. They're saying you're lying about your birth date, because that's the only thing that matters. The school has the same birth date. The marriage certificate has the same birth date. You are lying about your birth date. That's their claim, the investigators' claim. So, because then everything kind of makes sense. It's like, he's got a different name because he didn't have to change his name to get into the UK. They had to change their names to smuggle in with the Omar family. And the other thing about that is the Omars came in and they split into 3 separate houses. Like, the Omar was a single family, or supposed to be a single family, possibly a little extended, but they went to one house. At least the other Omars split up into 2 separate houses, and then Ilhan, her dad, and her sister split off and they go into another house. And it's like, but you're all related, why would it make sense for it? So I'm not just saying another house is in, like, down the street. No, they went to completely different states. So the investigators are like, okay, so there's either 3 separate families that all got asylum under the name Omar, or there's 2 separate families that are kind of mixed together or whatever, but it looks like Ilhan, her father, and her sister, because Ilhan and Nur, and the other sister, I forget the name, never mention the other members of the Omar. They never talk with them. There's not any posts on Facebook that talk about the other Omars. But they do acknowledge each other, just the 3 of them. That seems a little bit weird, to talk about, oh, I've got seven siblings, and then you only ever talk about one of them. So everybody's like, okay. So what the speculation is that this Ahmed Elmi guy went to the UK and went with the rest of the Elmi family that didn't get asylum in the US, because this Ahmed Elmi guy is also in, where was that? It's not Kenya. Actually, it might be Kenya. I think that's where they have tracked him down. He is making social media posts. It's somewhere in Africa. If my memory is correct, it is Kenya. But he's with Ilhan's actual sister, the woman that Ilhan recognized as her sister. But she's living in Kenya right now, with social media posts with this Elmi guy. And right now the investigators are like, you said you had no contact with him. Your sister is working with the guy in Kenya. He at least has the same name. He's verified that he went to this college that your husband went to. It's the same guy. How do you claim that you don't have any contact with him? Do you not have contact with your sister? Because she knows him.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of weird stuff like that that's going on, and it's like, dude, this is ridiculous. But so they're making these connections, same name as their father, at least the name that people refer to their father on social media. The other thing is, this guy was in the pictures where he was holding twins and talking about his nieces. Ilhan also has social media posts talking about those being her nieces, as in those are the daughters of their shared sister. But supposedly this guy's the guy she married, and supposedly he's some guy who doesn't know her at all. There's all these weird things about it. This guy and her first, or her, I can't say first husband, or maybe I can. So Ilhan was married to a guy in the Islamic faith, but never legally married to him. She was living in a house. That guy started a business, used her address, so we know both of them were living at the same address, or at least were using it as the same legal address. This Ahmed Elmi guy also uses it as his address. So she's either living with her ex-husband and her current husband, which doesn't make any sense, or he's only legally at that residence for the marriage documentation, because that's the only documentation tying him to the residence. And people who have been interviewed, neighbors and things like that, never refer to this guy as Ilhan's husband. They refer to the other guy as Ilhan's husband. And I'll get to the other guy in a second here, because I think maybe I'm taking too long on this. But it's all weird stuff, and because I was investigating and I was talking about this with somebody else, and this other person says, oh, this is all hearsay and all nonsense, and there's more evidence of Trump being, in a pedophile with Epstein. I'm like, there are legal documentations that raise red flags here. There are conflicting stories that do not mesh well with each other, which that goes anybody with, if you've got 2 people with conflicting stories, one of those people is lying. And when you get these conflicting stories back and forth all the time and you can't put a picture together, it looks like all of them are lying. And here's the big reveal. So, like, the picture I've got posted up. So, Ilhan Omar's estranged partner and father of her 3 children. This is where the story, like, this is the biggest piece of evidence that adds a ton of credibility to the whole theory that she legally married her brother. Now, it doesn't look like she had, was incest or anything like that. He's not the father of her children or anything like that. It looks like she was just legally married to him for immigration fraud purposes. So, let me see if I can cast this, because that might work. Alright. Is it at least showing? Okay, so there's the article. Oh, it's showing anyway. Alright. So, according to Powerline blog, Ilhan Omar is threatening her estranged partner and father of her 3 children, Ahmed Hirsi, as he is in trouble if the truth about her were ever to come out. Now, people are claiming that it's racist and that people only make this brother theory because the man she married was named Ahmed, and the person, so the man she's married to right now is named Ahmed Hirsi. The other man that she was married to was Ahmed Elmi. So people are like, oh, that's just racist. You're just making that because the 2 guys had the same name. It's like, no, there's legal documentation to distinguish the 2 guys, and legal documentation points to the other guy being more closely related to her father. Anyway, yeah. So right here it says, so this is a quote from her, this is according to the Powerline blog, who was talking to Ahmed Hirsi, apparently. Okay, so here, I guess I missed a bit of information in there trying to explain it. There's a lot of information here, so I'm probably doing the Alex Jones thing and sounding crazy. It all knits together, though. So Ahmed Hirsi and Ilhan Omar have split up, and this was reported on about a month ago. Like, they aren't legally divorced, but they're no longer living in the same house together. And there's a lot of speculation that divorce is on the way. But the fact that she was having an affair with this other guy, what's his name? Tim Minett. The fact that she was having an affair with him, it's like, light bulbs go off. Oh, that they split up about a month ago, right? The wife of Tim Minett filed the divorce paperwork about the same time. Oh, or I don't know if she had filed the paperwork. Actually, I'm not sure when she filed the paperwork, but the news of the paperwork being filed comes out, and then it's like, oh, she's sleeping with this guy, having an affair with her husband, and he's having an affair. They're both having an affair and cheating on their spouses. That would be the wife of Tim Minett filed for divorce. I'm pretty sure Ahmed Hirsi is also in the process of filing for divorce because their spouses are cheating. That makes so much more sense. Like, oh, that's why they were separated about a month ago, because it seemed to come out of the blue, and it's like, oh, they're separated because she's cheating with this guy. But what this does is Ahmed Hirsi now has no reason to keep the secrets for Ilhan Omar, which is why people are saying that he's ready to talk about the whole situation and, throw her under the bus. And be like, yeah, you... Because it seemed like this Ahmed Hirsi guy actually loved her and didn't know about the whole situation until after it kind of made the news. He didn't know about it at the time, and it came as a shock to him later. So that's the claim right now, which I don't know if you can read. I didn't read all of this, but past few. So this is from the blog. I'll read a couple lines here, right?
So a couple things here that I could see being extremely bad for her, right? Mm-hmm. So she's Muslim.
Yep.
And she has a Muslim marriage to the first husband.
Yes.
It is a religious marriage,
mm-hmm.
not legal. It wasn't a legal,
It wasn't legal until 2018.
But in the Muslim community, you leave your spouse because you're cheating. That is called for basically a stoning to be put.
Yeah. So in Somalia,
no-nos in the Muslim religion.
in Somalia, the place where she is from, having an affair is grounds for execution. If she was in Somalia right now, they would execute her for committing adultery.
And the bad thing is, and just kind of get on women's rights and why this doesn't quite fit with feminist culture here, most of that is because she's the woman who has instigated that and has committed adultery. I think for men, it's a little different. It depends on if you committed adultery because your wife wasn't, fulfilling her wifely duties, and that still somehow is her fault. However, in this circumstance, that's her. She left her family. She left her husband. She's committing adultery. If she goes back and tries to assume her Muslim identity over in Somalia or other Middle Eastern countries, she is kind of risking her life because that's not part of her religion.
Okay.
So he's committed. So I just wanted to put that out. That's a little different than her being married legally here in the U.S. to the other brother. This was a religious ceremony. It was supposed to be a Muslim unity. She's even broken that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she still considers herself a devout Muslim, because that's kind of one of the big no-nos you just don't do.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's like, dude, she was famous for wearing a hijab in Congress, and now it's like,
what's the point?
Yeah, it's like, so you're one of those everything's for show kind of Muslims, then, aren't you? Yeah. It's the same criticism that Jesus had for the Pharisees and Sadducees. Yeah. Beautiful, like Crips, beautiful on the outside, dead on the inside. And I'm like, okay, that's the description I would use for Ilhan Omar based on the information. And granted, this might all just be speculation and unprovable, and hey, maybe it's the whole story's false. But the fact that Ilhan Omar doesn't ever try to say, no, that's not true. This is what you guys are misunderstanding. Here's what's really going on. Instead, she's like, "Oh, no, that's not true. That's bigoted. That's Islamophobic. That you're just saying that because I'm a woman. You're just saying that because I'm a person of color. It's a racist."
I'm not dignifying myself with the response to that. That's also one of her go-to.
Yeah, and it's like to prove that you didn't legally marry your brother should be really easy to do. To prove that you weren't cheating with this guy, it should be something easily provable. And yet people are claiming that this Tim Minot guy is not sleeping with her and that the wife is just making the story up. And I'm like, you just make things up when you file divorce proceedings? Is that how this works? Is that going to fly well in court? You get to court, be like, oh, hey, Your Honor, I'm divorcing my spouse because he was cheating with Ilhan Omar, and the judge says, can you prove that? And you go, no, and then he's like, yeah, you don't get the kids. I don't know if that would happen, but...
They have I believe a son who is kind of like a tween or early teen who has been helping out with some of the campaign stuff. I don't know if he's been doing any traveling, but that's where some of this information came from. Not only the Tim Minot guy just flat out telling her, I'm in love with the congresswoman and no, our relationship isn't going to work. She also got confirmation from her son because Tim Minot introduced his son to the woman he loves.
Yeah. So Minot, whatever. But so what the case that this article is talking about is, it looks like this Ahmed Hirsi, her first husband through Islamic faith, that she supposedly divorced and then married the other guy, the Ahmed Elmi, and then divorced Ahmed Elmi and then got back with Ahmed Hirsi and then had their third kid, and then legally and Islamically married Ahmed Hirsi. That, to me, that doesn't make it... there is no proof that she ever Islamically divorced her first husband, so what makes more sense in the story is she married Ahmed Hirsi in the Islamic faith. They lived together, they had 2 kids together, and never got a divorce in the Islamic faith, and they were legally married in 2018. Prior to that, Ilhan Omar was legally married to Ahmed Elmi. I think it was starting in 2011. I don't remember the exact date of that. But legally married to this other guy, living with Ahmed Hirsi and their 2 kids. and then, according to legal documentation, legally divorced Ahmed Elmi in 2017, and then legally married Ahmed Hersey in 2018. So it looks like the only relation she had to this Ahmed Elmi guy, based on what was actually provable, was just on the marriage certificate and then the divorce, because she said that she couldn't find him and couldn't contact him and didn't know anybody who knew him, which makes me wonder, like, you're married...
Why would legally marry him in the first place?
Legally married to a person for 6 years, can't find him, you don't know anybody who could possibly know where he is right now. What? Yep. Like, maybe in the 80s, maybe in the 70s, like with the internet and Facebook, you can't find this guy. You don't know. Nobody in the world knows where this guy is.
Well, and he's got an online presence within those years.
Well, that's
posting stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is after according to the people who've been investigating this, and it's not just one news article or like this is the Associated Press. This is the Star Tribune. Yeah. There's like 3 or 4 different places that I got this information from. And one of them pieced it all together. I forget the one that was like, yeah, I got this information from these guys, this information from these guys. The only way this whole thing makes sense is if she was Islamically married to Hersey, never got a divorce from him. He knows nothing about the other marriage. That seems clear. He was in the dark on the rest of it. He didn't know that they needed to get legally married. She, in the meantime, legally married Ahmed Elmi to try to get his citizenship process through. But then when and they filed taxes, Ilhan Omar filed taxes with Ilhan Hersey, who was not her legal husband, but they filed taxes together for 2015, 16, 17, and 18. Now, 15, 16, and 17, she was legally married to Ahmed Elmi, but filing taxes with Ahmed Hersey. So that's where it's like, it looks like he was in the dark on the legal marriage to Elmi. So it looks like Hersey was in the dark on that, was filling out paperwork and putting both of their names on there and that sort of thing, because that's what people do. And it was later revealed to him that, oh, you need to get legally married. And so then they got legally married in 2018, but in order to do that, she had to file paperwork to get legally divorced from Elmi. Anyway, so that's all like, it could be a bizarre coincidence and a bizarre misunderstanding, faulty paperwork and all that sort of thing, but she's never brought up any kind of explanation along those lines. It's just flat out refused it. So people who are investigating this, they're like, yeah, we're just going with what we can prove, the documents we can prove, and the only way to make sense of them that we could come up with is this chain of events. And I was like, and looking at it, I'm like, okay, that's it. It seems plausible, it seems provable, it seems something that would at least start a, what's that called, discovery. Like, this is stuff you could take to a judge and be like, is there enough here for a case? Is this something we should look at? Is there enough for prosecution? And then they would start the whole, like, hey, because the legal system, or at least, investigators and lawyers and all that sort of thing, would have a lot more access to information that is currently being blocked from just general reporters. They could demand the documentation that Ilhan Omar is not presenting to just people asking questions and all that sort of thing. The other thing is, as these people have been investigating the situation, social media posts have been deleted. Like, so they're looking into this, they find the guy, they're like, hey, are you this guy? And then immediately the account goes down. And then it comes back up, and the posts are changed, there's posts completely deleted, and they've got side-by-side comparisons of the before and after. This is what we saw before, we saved it, and we've got a comparison. This is what it was after. Like, so they talked about, all of his social media presence. So this is what they're talking about, the Ahmed Elmi guy. They found all these pictures, they found these connections. They go and talk to the guy, or they talk to, they try to access the account and be like, hey, is this you, or is that any? The account goes down. All of the social media blackout for a couple of days. It comes back up, and all the stuff that they were questioning is removed. So that's why they're like, yeah, that seems like a kind of a, like, What? What are the odds of that? As soon as we find this stuff and we start asking questions about it, it all gets removed. So the people investigating is like, yeah, dude, this is stuff that this should be at least enough for the Department of Justice to start investigating all of this. Like, they can look at this and be like, maybe there's enough here, there's enough circumspect evidence to think, okay, this is plausible, this needs to be investigated.
Some questionable activity that this seems to be the only way to explain it. Let's at least follow this out and find out where it ends. Where it ends. What's the conclusion?
And so, but this here might be more of a smoking gun because it looks like Ahmed Hirsi is going to testify or speak out against Ilhan Omar and talk about, and it looks like he's going to say, she did marry Ahmed Elmi. So, like, right here, it's like, while Omar did indeed marry her brother for fraudulent purposes, Hirsi did not know at the time that she married Elmi. That's what it looks like. It looks like he didn't know until 2017. And now, according to this article, Omar is threatening Hirsi because if this news comes out, bye-bye congressperson. No way she's going to stay in Congress with this kind of thing in her past and with the way she's covered it up. And it's like, and if he comes out and testifies against her, she's done. That should be the nail in the coffin. And he's got every reason to, right?
Man, what a crappy situation. I mean, so if we take everything at face value as what we can kind of see here, and he was not in the know, he was not aware, right? He went through the standard Islamic practice. That was his wife through the Islamic custom or religious marriage. No different than a Christian marriage or a Jewish marriage. If they don't do it the legal way in the U.S., to them, that's their custom. That is their bond, right?
Yeah. And in a lot of Islamic communities,
stayed with her and then tried to make it legal in the U.S. because he's following what he's supposed to do. Turn around and find out she illegally married her brother just to get him into the country, then had to divorce him so that way they could get legally married, and then later left him so she can go sleep with one of her aides or consultants. And now he's stuck. He's got his 3 kids and a wife that's cheated on him and is now trying to blackmail him or whatever.
Or strong arm him into,
so she can keep her role in Congress. And he's just standing at the side, scratching his head like, what just happened? Why? And yet she's going to be protected. And whatever happens to him, it's not going to make news. If he testifies, a lot of papers and mainstream media is probably going to come out and attack him for being a misogynist and trying to take down a woman in power.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably what they're going to do.
I mean, what a horrible situation.
Yep.
And how's he supposed to take care of his 3 kids when caught in the middle of all of that garbage that he had nothing to do with? Now, again, I don't know. Not sure what he was aware of. That's just kind of an outside perspective, but that's a horrible situation to be put in.
Yeah. It looks like that he was kind of the victim here and didn't know about any of this until it was kind of too late. And then he's like, well, all right. So it looks like he found out about the legal marriage to Ahmed Elmi. He's probably upset about it, but it's like, okay, you get the legal divorce. We'll get married the legal way. Everything's in the clear. We're good. Okay. Yeah, pissed that you lied to me sort of thing, but we'll work through this. And then, turn around a year later. Wait, you're sleeping with some other dude? What? Like, that's kind of like how did you think that this was going to go okay? Like this. How did Ilhan Omar think that having an affair with this guy would, like, either way, this looks bad. I mean, the way I see it is that she screwed over her previous husband, so he's now getting divorced, and now he's like, okay, I've got every reason to use what I know about you against you. But even if that doesn't happen, well, now she's got the using campaign contributions to pay for her new lover. Which, okay, breaking Like, this, I don't see any way that this turns out good for Ilhan Omar. As it seems like she just, stuck her hand in the fire and that wasn't hot enough for her, so she jumped in full, with both feet. It's like... Alright, that's pretty weird, but let's, Okay, I think that I've beat that dead horse too much already, so time to move on to the next topic if we can. Let me do that thing.
And I'll be right back in just a second. I think I need to grab some Tums.
Alright, let me get this next thing queued up. Hopefully it will cast to the Hangouts. Because I would like to play this video. Google, why you do this? Okay. Apparently that video won't cast. I don't know. For sure. It was earlier today. I was getting that option.
Is this the Jordan Peterson one?
No, this is a CNN one. So this is the next.
Stelter?
Yeah, Stelter. Dude, this is ridiculous, man. I think I've got it queued up to the right spot. So I'm starting at 21 seconds here. So let's... All right.
Health. And Dr. Alan Francis is in Philly for us. He's a professor emeritus and former chair at psychiatry at Duke University Medical College. And he authored the book Twilight of American Sanity. A psychiatrist analyzes the age of Trump. So, Dr. Lee, first to you. You have been trying to sound an alarm.
I guess that was a little further down because he starts talking with Lee first. Sorry about that. But that was just the introduction. I'm trying to get to
this book. You say it's dangerous to be talking this way. Why?
Well, I think that medicalizing politics has three very dire consequences. The first is...
okay, so about 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the clip.
That it stigmatizes the mentally ill. I've known thousands of patients. Almost all of them have been well-behaved, well-mannered, good people. Trump is none of these. Lumping the mentally ill with Trump is a terrible insult to the mentally ill, and they have enough problems and stigma as it is. The second issue is that calling Trump crazy hides the fact that we're crazy for having elected him, and even crazier for allowing his crazy policies to persist. Trump is as destructive a person in this century as Hitler, Stalin, and Mao were in the last century.
Wow.
He may be responsible for many more million deaths than they were. He needs to be contained, but he needs to be contained by attacking his policies, not his person. It's crazy for us to be destroying the climate our children will live in.
Dude, like, she doesn't blink at all. Like, she's just kind of, oh, yep, that nothing insane was just said. And Brian Stelter, his face kind of changed a little bit, but it's hard to tell if he's like, wait, did that guy just say what I think he said? And I just gotta, don't call any attention to it. Or if he's kind of like, yeah, that's right. I'm not sure which of those two is his actual expression there. What?
Both of those guests are off their rocker.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to the lady speaking. She said she's a psychiatrist, and they have some Goldwater rule where they're supposed to try and uphold the standards of society and call out or bring forth anything that might be disturbing or whatever. But she said they're not allowed to say that about the president because the press has been blocking them from saying these speculations.
What?
And I'm like, what have they been doing for 3 years? All I've been hearing is how nuts Trump is from all press ever.
Yeah, they were like, this was going around for like before he was elected. People were trying to paint the story that he was mentally unfit.
She's claiming there's a gag order and that mainstream media is not allowed to report on Trump's mental health, of which they have been doing for 3 years.
Yeah.
They got elected.
This is like a every 3 months. This is the when there's nothing else to talk about. Like, let's talk about Trump's mental health, and we'll call in like psychiatrists or analysts, and we'll have them.
One of the big topics before he got elected is they were worried about his mental health because they thought he was going to launch nukes on anyone that pissed him off. They thought we were going to get into nuclear war with Russia, with North Korea, with Iran. So they just they have been saying this for 3 years, and he's saying there's a gag order where they're not allowed to talk about it. What?
No, they're not.
I can see psychiatrists speculating on the mental state of somebody just from what they get from the news and just putting out their opinion. Fine, whatever. It's an OP. It's their opinion. But unless Trump is talking to a psychiatrist, and that psychiatrist has a legal responsibility to report anything that might be detrimental to the United States or whatever, that's a different issue. But he's not seeing a psychiatrist. He doesn't have a personal liaison there, somebody that's supposed to be representing his mental health. It's just people speculate on what they hear on the news, and there is no gag order because they've been talking about it for years.
Nonstop.
So that's her side of it. And then this other guy is saying he could be responsible in the future for more deaths than Hitler. What? How so?
All right. So Hitler was responsible for around 7 or 8 million in the Holocaust, and then another. What's the death toll from World War II? Somewhere in the.
I thought he was upwards.
Somewhere like 50-ish million. Mao by himself. What? Sorry.
Yeah, so I know Hitler and Mao are comparable, and then Stalin is like.
No. Mao is the worst of the three. Stalin by himself was something like 30 million. Like not in a war. 30 million of his own people, or it might have been like 20 million of his own people. So
that's just from his socialism.
Yeah, Hitler, 11 million of people in Germany, a couple tens more outside of Germany, but how much of those can actually be blamed all on Hitler? Not quite, because it's a war. But we know directly he had direct responsibility for about 11 million in his own country. Stalin, on the other hand, 20 to 30 million in his own country, not in a time of war. Mao, 80 plus million. He beats both of the other two combined by more than double. Granted, if you're not, depends on how much of the war deaths you want to attribute specifically just to Stalin and Hitler, though. But just of their own people, Mao the worst of the three.
Okay, so trying to take stuff from their perspective, who are they talking about? It's obviously not U.S. citizens, because we don't have even a 100,000 death toll or 50,000 or a 10,000 death toll. Who are they talking about? Is it illegal immigrants? And they're saying because Trump is...
I think he's actually making a climate change argument, but... Because Trump, the one man, he's the solely responsible for climate change, which, the biggest contributors to are China and India, so it's all Trump's fault. He's insane for not...
As far as first world countries go, we are the only country on the planet that has met what we agreed to do as far as carbon reduction. The only country on the freaking planet. That's why he got out of the Paris Accords, because he said, we're already doing it, and the rest of you are sitting there with your thumbs up your butt. I'm done with you clowns. You're supposed to be paying this much for your own military protection, and yet you're still relying on us. You're supposed to have done this with your carbon emissions and invested this much into your, into what we said during the climate accords, and none of you have met it except for us. I am done messing with you, so he backed out. How is he to blame for anything climate related, period, when our country is trying to lead the world in reducing carbon footprint and pushing all this whole climate change doomsday news, but yet we are still leading the world in how we do our recycling and our waste management and reducing carbon footprint. And he has done nothing to negatively impact that. We're still continuing with the same processes. What?
Absolutely ridiculous, man.
I mean, he's basically just stating Trump is now worse than Hitler, worse than Mao, worse than Stalin, all combined.
Which is like, that's easily over 100 million.
Where's the war? Where's the massacre? Hasn't happened.
Nope.
What? And we're supposed to take these people's word for anything? She's a psychologist. What was the other guy? Was he also a psychologist?
Yeah, he's like from Duke or something like that. He's from Duke or Harvard. I can't remember
At any
which.
point, can we say, I believe you suffer from, TDS? Maybe you need a psychiatrist?
Health. And Dr. Alan Francis is in Philly for us. He's a professor emeritus and former chair at psychiatry at Duke University.
Yeah, Duke University.
Yeah. Maybe they both need their own psychiatrist and say, I believe you have TDS.
Yeah.
You're just not aware of it, and it has skewed all of your thinking, period.
Yeah, I highly recommend you stay away from mainstream media for the next 2 years. Otherwise, you're going to go on a spree or something like that.
Yeah. Trump did not cause you to burn your toast this morning. That was just simply your own fault. Just understand this.
All right.
Cause all of the world's woes. It's just a dude.
I was kind of saving this next thing as a little smaller story because I don't really have much to say about it other than just to point at its stupidity and laugh at it. But since it is related to climate change, I'll go ahead and play this one next. So this is the David Suzuki Foundation? Suzuki? Oh, Suzuki, right. Weird. Alright, so... Are you ready for this one? Let's see. Oh, can I actually cast this one or no? Come on. Nope. No device found. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and play this.
Climate change, you're a threat.
How long is this? A minute and 47 seconds?
Excuse me, do you guys have a moment to talk about climate change? So this is it. HQ, or headquarters for those who don't know. Every part of the machine is integral.
Okay. Alright, so I don't know if these kids are writing their own scripts or if this was written for them.
At what point?
HQs or headquarters for those who don't know. Well, yeah.
Adults listen to children on how to run society or government.
The same people who say that 3-year-olds can change their gender. That's these whack jobs.
Oh, I thought the age was 4.
Okay. Three, yeah.
According to those maps, 4 is the limit.
Well, yeah, so this is a part of a campaign, 18 to 8. So, this bit of cringe, okay, I guess I do have something to say about it, because they're making a satire or parody video mocking at how ridiculous it is to have 8-year-olds making this campaign for climate change.
Decisions other than what do you want for dinner, and that's a maybe.
Yeah, that's a suggestion, not a vote.
What?
But the 18 to 8 on their actual website says that, they don't want to actually change the voting age from 18 to 8. They just want to implement climate change legislation. And I'm like, so you understand the argument you're making in this video is ridiculous and stupid, yet the argument in this video is in favor of legislation for climate change. So, if this is satire, you are mocking people who want legislation for climate change. You're unintentionally mocking yourself. If this is satire, you guys are the butt of the joke.
No, there is a scary side to this. Kids are being taught as if this is scientific truth. This is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
That the world is going to end soon because people aren't doing anything about climate change. So as they grow up, anything that is said, hey, this is for climate change, and I'll put that in quotes, just like the Green New Deal was for climate change, not, economic reformation, as the initial authors of it said it was actually for, and had nothing to do with climate change. But if you just slap the label climate change, they're just going to vote for it because they have such a fear that the future for them is the earth blowing up into a giant fireball because we've done nothing. At what point do we get away from science where you say, hey, is there climate change or is there not climate change? Let's examine both sides and see where we get to. Let's look at all possibilities and find out what seems the most applicable. Instead, it's just assumed this is all truth. And even if the world is headed towards, a certain climate disaster and humanity has some impact on it, there are no real world solutions for it other than fear mongering and saying, give us your money and your vote and the power.
Yeah, it's just give us the power, we'll figure out how to use it later. What?
So, I mean, this could be satire, but those 8-year-olds in 10 years are going to be 18 and voting. And they're going to vote for anything that says this is to help combat climate change. We need to get rid of the Constitution because it's destroying our climate. We need to get rid of the Bill of Rights. That's what led to this climate fiasco. I mean, they're just getting indoctrinated to where anytime someone mentions climate change, they're instantly on board because they can't think any other way. It is disgusting.
Absolutely
now,
everywhere.
I'm not an expert on any of that. I don't think we're actually headed towards that climate disaster. I really don't think humankind has that big of an impact on the climate. I think that's a little full of ourselves to think we can impact the entire planet like that. Now, I'm not opposed to any research that shows demonstrably, we are doing this and this and this. But so far, there is no concrete research. So speculation and stuff we thought was true even 10 years ago turns out to that's just nature. It has nothing to do with us. The hole in the ozone over Antarctica closed up and moved. Now it's up north. Had nothing to do with us. Turns out it's just a cycle that happened whether we're here or not. We have no clue on any of this, and yet we're willing to destroy economies, change entire nations, and indoctrinate children. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's the manipulation of children in this has been going on for a little while, like because the whole Greta Thunberg, yeah, that situation. Like there was also those kids that the teachers brought before, Feinstein, and Feinstein is like, I've been doing this for a long time. I know what I'm doing. Go away.
I'm listening to a bunch of you kids. I know what I'm doing. That was the only time where I was like, well,
finally. Yeah, but it's that is their go-to thing, is trying to manipulate people with appeals to children and emotion from children rather than facts and things that will actually maybe do something. Because that's like, wait a minute, everything that you guys don't have anything other than, we need to do something, the sky's falling, we need to do something. Well, what do we do? I don't know, we just need to do something. And I'm like, that's your entire argument.
Yelling in the intercom, do something. Circus running around.
That's their entire thing. I don't just do something, anything. It doesn't matter what it is, as long that'll fix it. They don't have any firm. But anytime somebody does suggest something like, we could just maybe, incentivize carbon reduction, like, 'cause that's the Tim Pool's approach. Whatever is like, we'll just, if you want to buy it, we'll just give you some kind of incentive to buy an electric car. That's incorrect. It's incorrect, but that's at least something that you're like, okay, I could see how that could possibly be a good thing and that would work. That's not something I'm opposed to. We need to stop all fossil fuel production altogether. Whoa, wait. What kind of...
That would literally put us back before the Industrial Revolution.
It was like
back to the 1700s.
Like, the using tax breaks and incentives to encourage certain behavior, I don't agree that is a solution, or that is a solution that will yield those results they're looking for, but that's a solution I can I understand your reasoning behind it. That makes sense to me. I don't agree with it, but I can see that, to me, that seems logical. It's kind of similar to Yang's UBI. I'm like, I understand your concerns and your criticism. I think your solution is flawed, but at least that's something I'm going, at least that's something I can engage with. But we're all going to die in 12 years unless we do something.
At least we're trying some kind of solution, or...
Yeah. You don't care because you're not a kid, and only kids care about the environment. It's not like people who are over the age of 8 have children themselves and don't want their kids to die in a fiery blaze either.
Yeah. I would think most parents don't want that for their kids. But I mean, kids think there's boogeymen under their bed. Should we outlaw the boogeyman?
Oh, dude, that
actually... What is that gonna do?
Yeah, we should start petitioning for that kind of stuff. Like, we should make our own change.org. I'm like, okay, we're gonna put legislation to outlaw boogeymen. and vampires, closet monsters.
We should also make it outlaw to kidnap children. We should also. I mean, I don't know.
Wait. Wait, that is already illegal.
Yeah, and it's not stopping anything.
That we should make mandatory night lights.
If they want candy with their dinner, that should be. You know, children are going to vote for that, so we should make that a necessity. It's illegal to not provide some sort of dessert or sweets for your children.
Actually, I'm pretty sure dinner should be exclusively ice cream and candy. That's...
Yes. Children know best. I mean, no parent should be taking that kind of advice from their children. It is your job as a parent to instill proper values and inform them how the world works, because they don't know. They are children.
Yep. So,
man, that stuff drives me nuts, using children to try and push an objective, or leave the kids out of it. Just let kids be kids. That's it.
All right. So the next topic, and I spent way too much time on the Ilhan Omar. It's already almost 9 o'clock. I was trying to get done by 9, but now I'm gonna try to get it done by 9:30. So gonna speed through the rest of this. I mentioned change.org because that goes into the next topic of Taylor Swift made an oopsie. I should have just said Taylor made an oopsie, but that's how it was in the description. Anyway, so the change.org. So she came out with a music video that was Calm Down or Better Calm Down or something like that. And then with that, there's the Support the Equality Act, change.org petition that she started. So this is something Crowder pointed out, that she started this petition to the U.S. Senate, and then for the VMAs goes up on stage and is like, yeah, we got over 500,000 signatures on our petition. That's more than enough to get recognized by the White House. And it's like, this is... You sent the petition to the U.S. Senate, not to the White House. Why should the White House recognize it? You know, like... It's like calling Bill and being like, dude, Bob, why didn't you answer? Like, because you were talking to Bill. That's not...
Well, point number 2, they're already looking at it.
Yeah. Congress, it's an act. Yeah. It's in discussion in front of the U.S. Senate. So what is this for? And 500,000, yes, that's a lot of signatures. Compared to how many voters there are in the U.S., not even 1%. Not even 1% of the voting population. So, I mean, it's somewhat significant, but I don't understand, like, considering her music video for this was the most viewed thing, this was the reason she was getting an award and got up and gave the speech.
So, my problem with this is, at this point in Western society, and here in the U.S., and I know the UK is along similar routes, and Canada is probably even more progressive than that. Gays, bisexuals, trans, all have the same rights. They do not understand what rights are.
Yeah.
And what they are doing is removing rights from everyone else and saying this group gets special permissions more than what their normal citizen has. It will force people to do things they do not agree with, strip them of their religious beliefs, and say, I don't care what you believe, you will service me, and you will provide the service I ask, or you will be fined or put in prison. Yeah, that is not freedom. That is confining 99% of the population to what the 1% vocal minority says I want and I'm going to get. That is not a right. That is impeding upon everybody else's rights. They don't understand why Trump and his administration put out that tweet that said, we have reviewed this. There is a poison pill in here.
Yeah. And the poison pill is vague language. And there's a lot of it in this particular bill. Yeah. It is very, it is very open to interpretation and open to being abused, which is why people are like, dude, this is ridiculous. Because the way it's worded, you have to use someone's preferred pronouns or you face legal penalty.
Yeah, it's the same thing that they put in Canada.
Yeah, but what they don't realize is people can go to their place of employment without being LGBTQ and just claim to be something else. And then a coworker or their boss or their manager uses the wrong thing and they're like, oh, you just violated that law, all right, I'm suing. Yeah, how is anybody supposed to...
Easy to manipulate.
Yeah, they've got legal grounds to stand on, and their employer doesn't. They just like, hey, I'm pissed at my boss. There's this rule. I can just come into work for a couple of weeks as something else. They don't have to be legitimately a trans person or, you know, whatever other gender or something. They don't have to think this is they can abuse the system. There's nothing in the law as it is written today to prevent that. And there is nothing that can really be put into law that would avoid that situation. People can look at the person and be like, you're faking. Oh yeah, good luck proving somebody is faking being something other than whatever, like the standard cis presentation.
Yeah.
Like,
there is no way to determine that. We're supposed to take people at their word.
Yeah. And that's what Jessica Yaniv is pointing out, although I don't think intentionally, is somebody abusing the system Canada has put in place.
Yeah, I don't think they're an activist to point out the flaws. I think they're just out there to misuse the system.
Yeah, but they are misusing the system, and even people on this that were fighting for these laws are like, oh, yeah, that person's messed up.
Him in to do that. That's
the people who
we were fighting for, and he's like, it's the law.
Yeah, and there's nothing they can do about it. It's like, yeah, he's abiding by the rules they put in place. And it's like, yeah, the way you set them up, they're ripe for abuse. And there's no way to write a law that's based on an individual's subjective interpretation of who they are that cannot be abused. It's
yeah. Really, that undermines the rulings for the baker who refused to cater the gay wedding.
Yeah.
No, that's his choice. That's his business on who he wants to provide service for. If he loses business on it, that's on him. There are plenty of other bakers who would be fine doing it. But with this law, it forces people to go against whatever their beliefs are, whatever their business principles are, and say, you will, or your business is shut down. Well, government is not here to force that on anybody. That has never been part of the U.S. institution or our government ever, is to enforce or, use the force of the law, basically put people at a gunpoint and say, you're going to do this. That's borderline tyranny. And to put that at a tiny percentage of the population, to put all that control in their hands, that's horrible. I mean, we're at a day and age where, fine, there could be some closed-minded people. I don't really support LGBT at all. I don't hate anybody there. They could do their own thing. I'm not going to prop them up, give them a pat on the back, but whatever. I'm not here to impede anybody from doing whatever. That's not my job.
Yeah.
But pretty much entirely of Western civilization is not impeding them from anything.
No.
Yeah. All the same rights as everybody else. They're looking for special privilege. They're looking for control. And unfortunately, for those trying to be PC and hip and, in support of these oppressed people, they are making horrible decisions that will destroy society, destroy this country, everything we stand for, destroy personal freedom. I don't know what happened to her. She seemed like a nice girl growing up.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I was like, this is... So not only is this sad because this bill... But, like, she used to be smart. Or at least give the appearance of being smart. Because I've seen interviews...
I'm not involved in that. And that was a smart move on her part.
That was a smart move. And then when she moved to New York and started hanging out with Lena Dunham and all that sort of thing, it's like she lost, like, 50 IQ points because... like, everything after that has been just nonsense, drivel, and stupidity. Like, even the music that was at least somewhat good, like, 1989. Like, I don't know if you've listened to the album or if you've listened to the songs, but the intro riff for Style, when it comes on the radio, you're like, dude, that is awesome. And then you hear the rest of the song, and you're like, I get that it's kind of like a love letter booty call to Harry Styles, but it's like, dude, that was actually, like the song is good, and the lyrics are like, okay, that's at least a little bit clever. There's also other lyrics in some of our other songs like, oh, that was actually pretty smart. Well done. Like golf clap. And then you get to Reputation, and then Love, or is it Lover or whatever her new, and you're like, this is mindless. Like there's nothing in here that's clever or catchy. It's all like the only good song that I've heard so far from the album has been the one with Brandon Urie, and that's because he is clever and he is good. And so I think he made that song what would otherwise be mindless blah, like the rest of the stuff I've heard. It's like, okay, that's at least tolerable. It's not something I'd jam out to or listen to on purpose, but it's like, if it's on the radio, alright, leave it on. It's not bad. But some of her previous stuff, like, okay, so that's not her stuff per se, but I Prevailed is a really awesome cover of Blank Space. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah, I was like, dude, that's awesome. Oh, wait, that's a Taylor Swift song? Huh, alright. Trying to think of what the other... so there's another song that I heard on the radio. I'm like, wait, that was Taylor Swift? Oh, Safe and Sound. I think that was actually a part of the Twilight soundtrack or something like that. But that song is haunting and amazing. I'm like, I can't, like, I heard that, and I'm like, dude, who is this? Taylor Swift, what? Okay, I stand, like, that's, it's one of those things is you hear something and you're like, okay, I got newfound respect for this individual, and then you hear the mindless garbage that's being produced by them, and you're like, what happened? Like, was there drugs involved? Did you, alcohol poisoning or something? It all happened when the move to New York, because everything since then has just been plummeting into mindless nonsense and sounding just like everybody else. It's been like, what distinction is there anymore? Like, you get, like, if you look, I don't know if you've heard the newer stuff, but if you play one of those songs, you're like, is this Cardi B? Is this Nicki Minaj? I don't know. It's one of those terrible person there. Just turn off the wailing and go listen to something good. Yeah, used to somewhat be a fan, but it seems like she has gotten, like, turned idiocracy, and I'm guessing it's all because of granted, this is probably a larger subject, but it seems like she surrounded herself with people who don't challenge her, and that will make anybody stupid. Right? You surround yourself with people who don't demand better of you, and it's been like, what, 10, 15 years? Somewhere in that range? So if she's always around people who are yes men and all kind of like lefties and doesn't have anybody around her who's like, are you sure that that's correct? Hey, have you tried considering this? Have you thought about this? Like, maybe you're not correct about that. Or like, maybe, well, that sounds uninformed. Like, there's nobody, it sounds like this is someone who has nobody in their life that's like, whoa, wait a minute. You just said something stupid. Because, I mean, I know I've got people like that, like, dude, are you... And I'm like, oh, wait, did I say something? Like, hey, wait, I gotta double check. But if she's surrounded by people who all agree with her, there's no challenge there. And it seems like that's been going on for more than a decade, where nobody's pushing back, and it's like, okay, then, you're bound to be less sharp or less prepared or, less intelligent, because it's like working out. If you, like, hey, if there's no resistance, and you've done no resistance for 10 years, you go to lift up something heavy, your arms are just gonna fail you. That's what it seems like. There's a good segue here. All right. Let's see if I can try to. No, I'm just like, okay.
I think you propped it up too much.
But I was a fan of Taylor Swift on the Red album. I think every song on Red is amazing. But no, that's too much. That's too much. All right, because it does lead us into the next topic. The color red, and actually she's she's famous, or was famous for a while, for the bright red lipstick all the time. I mean, that was kind of like a lot of her merchandise is the red lipstick and all that sort of thing. And Stefan Moly-knew has been in the hot seat because this has been going on for like almost a month now, where he's been talking about makeup and, what makeup in generally talking about lipstick and blush, although people have been giving him flack for that. I don't know if you can see this. This is the Stefan Moly-knew. This is Julie Borowski, which, like this, what I'm seeing is a lot of what I would otherwise consider pretty intelligent women. I'm not sure if you know who Julie Borowski is. She's the one who actually, this was the first time I had ever heard of Keynesian economics, was from Julie Borowski. She had a video where the title of the video was Obama is a Keynesian. I thought it was a joke video about Obama being from Kenya. Clicked on the video, see something, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what is all this? Starts talking about Keynesian economics versus Hayek, and I'm like, all right, I gotta look and investigate and find out more about this stuff. The first instance I ever heard of it was from Julie Borowski. In that video about Obama being a Keynesian. And that led me to the, Econ Stories, the rap between Hayek and John Maynard Keynes. Anyway, started a whole investigation into economics and Austrian economics and all that sort of thing that I didn't know about prior to that. So, and here she is, so he's been making these tweets talking about makeup in the workplace, and I was trying to find the original one, but I couldn't find it, so this is kind of the somewhat, because this has been going on for about a month, but he talked about women wearing lipstick and blush in the workplace being similar to a man wearing a fake erection in the workplace. And at first I didn't understand what he was talking about, and I was like, wait a minute, I think you're a little misunderstood. I don't think women find the male erection all that arousing. I think they'd be better off with maybe a shirt that's showing abs or something like that. But he explained it later. What he's talking about is lipstick and blush mimic women's flush or being flush in the face, to show they're in heat or during sex. That's the blood rushes to the face, giving a flushed experience. The lips get darker red and the cheeks get red. That's what blush and lipstick are signaling. They are imitating those natural processes.
Yep.
So that's why he's saying that would be similar to the natural process for a male during sex is to have an erection. That would be noticeable. That's a symbol of arousal. And that's why he's saying right here, because she's talking about, suits and this is and it's not just, I don't mean to pick on Julie. She's usually a really smart person, knows a lot about economics, makes a lot of silly videos and stuff like that. But there are a lot of libertarian and usually intelligent women. So I think Lauren Chin jumped on this. There's a couple others that have been kind of bashing Stefan Moly-knew for his take on makeup, and I don't understand it.
That's known.
Yeah.
The purpose of it. That's been known for the history of makeup.
Yeah.
That is the purpose.
But so what they're not understanding is they say, it's just to attract someone else. And he's saying, no, I'm talking more specifically, it's meant to attract men because it's simulating sex. And you're saying that that's an appropriate thing to do in the workplace. That's where he's like, I'm not saying makeup is bad. I'm saying, really, you want to give yourself the appearance of being in heat or, being horny or being in the act of sex in the workplace? That doesn't, you can wear makeup, you can wear earrings, you can wear skirts, okay, whatever. But this particular subset of makeup is meant to simulate sexual arousal and access. And that's what he's talking about specifically here. But I think he makes the misstep of just saying makeup overall. Heels, he's correct there as well. Heels, it's not just arousal, but it's, emphasizing the sexual components of a woman. It's makeup can be just foundational, that sort of thing, blur out the wrinkles or whatever. Make a woman more attractive, but not, like, necessarily sexual. Like, heels, the entire purpose is to lift the butt and
accentuate the calves.
Yeah, accentuate the calves, accentuate the butt and the bust. And it's kind of like, well, if you're accentuating your tits and ass, that's kind of like sexual, right? and here, like, so Julie's not the only one. There's been a bunch of women talking about this sort of thing and not drawing the connection, like, oh, men wear suits, and like, what? That's kind of not the same thing. So it's like, women can look stunning and look attractive, but look modest and not be emphasizing their sexual components, like their secondary sex characteristics. Like, there's a lot of women, like, hey, the nerdy librarian look, it's pretty good looking, but it's not emphasizing, like, it's not sexy cat or sexy witch. It's like, so what he's implying is that the makeup and blush and high heels in the workplace are kind of turning what would normally be like, oh, she looks pretty good, into a sexy nun outfit. Like, it's the difference between a ghost and a sexy ghost. And you're like, well, she can look good in a ghost outfit, and like, hey, that looks but then it's like, oh, by the way, here's cleavage and here's my butt sticking out, and here. That's what he's implying in these arguments. He's like, yeah, it's taking it one step further and being like, no, it's not just, hey, she looks good, or, I mean, because there's a lot of classic beauty where they don't emphasize big tits and butts. Like classical, not classical, maybe that thinks more like Victorian era, which, yeah, there was a big emphasis on butts and busts. I'm thinking more like 40s and 50s in the U.S., where it's kind of like, oh, she's, where it was more kind of like on the necklaces and earrings, more so than the makeup and emphasis on cleavage and butts.
Here's the issue I see with this whole discussion. Women want to appear attractive.
Yeah, so do men.
No guy wants to go to work and just appear a nasty slob. Men, especially if they're trying to attract the opposite sex, will at least put in some effort to make themselves cleaned up, presentable, and attractive. I get that. But if a woman's going through the extra effort to put on the blush, the lipstick and stuff, then that should kind of expect additional attention aside from just guys walking by, hey, good morning.
Yeah.
That may include a prolonged chat or being stopped in the hallway and saying, hey, wow, you look great today. That's kind of enticing that sort of attraction. Now, I don't want that to be confused with, well, she was asking for it and the guy's out raping women. That's something messed up with those guys. That's never called for. There's no woman walking around, I don't care what she's wearing, saying, hey, come rape me. That's not the way men should be thinking. However, there is a difference between a woman who shows up in the office and just has normal office attire and barely noticeable makeup versus one with bright red lipstick, blush, bunch of eyeshadow on to accentuate her face and whatever features. That's going to get noticed.
Yeah.
And it's very double standard for women to say, I should be able to wear this and you should never notice unless I want you to notice because I'm attracted to you. And if I don't like you, then you should not approach me. Versus a guy dressing up in a nice suit trying to present his best self.
Yeah, because it's that one extra layer. It's that one step beyond. That's the difference.
A mixed signal saying, I want to appear sexy.
Yeah.
However, it seems that they only want to appear sexy to the men that they find themselves attracted to, and they're just tired of other men noticing.
Yeah, and then here's the counter. Like, there's like, oh, well, men wear suits to the office. I'm like, well, women can wear a suit. That's not inherently sexual. That's business attire. And so like
those cone nips underneath.
Yeah, and so so my response to this was kind of like, wait, so before women were ever in the workplace, men wore suits. So men wore suits to make other men sexually attracted to them? Are all men secretly homosexual? I was like, no, it's attractive as in a general attractive. Lipstick and blush are specifically sexually attractive, not just attractive in general. There's a sexual component to those in addition to heels, which are like, okay, there's sexual component to that because you're emphasizing specific body parts. There's a sexual aspect to that.
Good distinguishing or delineator here. A good fitting, well-made, expensive suit just shows status and potential power or male dominance.
Yes.
That is what is attracting women. It's not
and women can find that sexy. Yeah.
It is the
attractive.
idea behind why are they wearing that suit? They must be someone important.
Yeah.
And known. That's the attraction there. James Bond can wear a suit and look sexy because he looks like someone of importance.
Yeah.
Or he could be in his shorts walking up the beach, at which point that does become sexual.
Yeah.
It's not the suit. The suit simply represents power. They're attracted to that status.
Yes.
That's a man who can provide. That's a man who can give you what you want. That's attractive to them. It is not a sexual desire.
Yeah, and I would say, so...
And I wonder what the abs look like.
Yeah, so there are suits that are designed to be worn with the jacket open and with the shirt exposed and with the chest exposed, and you're like, that there's suits that are designed like that. Those are suits like from the 80s and stuff like that, because that was kind of the fashion. Those were not business attire. Because it's like, okay, it's a suit, technically, but you got your chest hanging out. You can see... Well, yeah, like you can see the pecs and you can see a little bit of the abs and all that sort of thing. It's like, that's a suit, technically, but that's not office appropriate.
Well, I mean, that's along the same lines. If the dude's showing up in the office doesn't have an undershirt and it's unbuttoned and his chest hair and you can see his outline of his pectorals, that's along the same lines.
Yeah.
Meant to draw the eye.
Yeah.
It's a physical attraction at that point.
It's not
that's not normal business attire. You don't show up in a meeting like that.
It's not this, I just want to look presentable. It's a step beyond the I just want to look presentable, and that's the comparison Stefan is trying to paint here, and I kind of feel bad for him because he's saying these things in little small snippets on Twitter, and yet he's got videos talking about this, and but I've tried talking to some of these people that I generally have a good relationship with, or at least somewhat, cordial online, and it's just not getting through to them.
No, I mean, that can be said about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
A woman does her hair in a certain way, and you can tell she spent a lot of time doing her hair. Why? What was the purpose? It is to be noticed.
Yeah.
So there are certain clothing styles, certain makeups, and certain hairstyles that are more sexually attractive if you have done your makeup with a lot of red, a lot of blush. That's the implication, is to put forward that perception. If you're showing up with really short skirts, that's kind of the implication, is you want people to see your legs.
Yeah, and I like how you kind of emphasize the color red there, because going back to Taylor Swift...
Some people find it sexy on like a goth level, but it's not sexy like... That's not the whole blush aspect of it. That's a whole different... If you're into like the goth emo scene, then maybe you're good with black lipstick or purple or whatever.
Yeah, but he's so this is what I've said. I was like, Jordan Peterson has talked about this on numerous occasions. So I was like, well, if you guys are anti-Steph, and some of these people think Stefan is not a good guy and hates women and all this sort of thing, and I'm like, okay, you guys can think that. I don't see it. I think he's making arguments based on like actual psychology and things that we've known and things that we've discovered. And here's Jordan Peterson making similar or the exact same argument. And, I was like, well, you guys like Jordan Peterson, you think he's credible. Here's him saying the exact same things. Because this is one instance of it. There was an interview that he did with GQ where this also came up. He's talked about it in various other lectures. I was just trying to find this before the stream. So this is one version of him talking about it. And a student just asked him about a particular question. So this is about 2 minutes and 7 seconds in, if you haven't seen this one.
Yeah. I have to wonder about blood, too. That seems like it also... Oh, yeah. Red's a significant color. But I think, and it's funny, too, because say there's a flushed face. Well, that means it's infused with blood. It's also a sign of health. It's also a sign of sexual arousal. But it is a sign of health. And so you see... In old Coke ads from the 1930s, the girl's cheeks are so red that it looks like she has a fever. So it's often a form of sexual signaling that indicates health. So that's another part. These are multiply determined, right? It is anything as complex as vision. Yeah, and blood means, hey, maybe don't go there.
I think the way that
Oh,
people criticize it.
This guy actually
and I
has
think this happens a lot with evolutionary psychology.
Yeah, because this is the clip I was looking for earlier. The video I found here apparently has it. All right.
Which is not quite what the lobsters are, but is where other stuff in the book is. Other things you said, for example, like women wear rouge because it reminds men of ripe fruit. Right. Well, for a start.
Why do you think women wear rouge?
I have absolutely no idea. But
Right,
I will tell you.
That's really not a very good answer.
Well, yeah, you said before there were lots of things you don't know the answer to. But I'll tell you one thing.
I'm not criticizing your perspective on this. You're criticizing mine, so I'm presuming you have an alternative idea. Why do you think women wear makeup?
I think there are an enormous number. But let's go back to why women wear rouge, because it reminds men of ripe fruit. Okay, first of all, not all ripe fruit is red. Why would you want to?
Do you want color vision to detect ripe fruit?
Do you want to eat women? No, I think unless men are having sex with ripe fruit,
you might want to taste them.
That's not.
I love that response. You might want to taste them. All right, I'm gonna end it. Yeah, but he's like, yeah, that's entirely the purpose. It's like, yeah, that's specifically to attract, not because there are aspects of the opposite sex that you'll find attractive no matter what. Or I guess maybe I shouldn't say the opposite sex, but to people, whatever you're sexually attracted to, you're going to see that even when someone is trying to downplay it. But when someone is deliberately upplaying that, it's to get noticed, not just for being smart or being good at your job or being dependable or, something along those lines. It's to be noticed specifically for your sex appeal. And that's what he's talking about. It's like, yes, there are suits that make you look professional, but there are also suits that make you look like a sex appeal. Or that's like I was talking about, the suits from the 70s and 80s. That's what those suits were. They were like, there's a lot of pictures of Burt Reynolds in suits that are kind of like, yeah, those were designed not for professional, but to look sexy. And women are wearing outfits that are not designed to look professional, but to look sexy. And they're wearing makeup in a way that's not designed to look professional, sexy. And that's what it's like. That would be akin to wearing a Burt Reynolds style suit to the office and being like, what are you guys so upset with? Like, that's kind of distracting, and it's kind of not what we're here for.
Yeah, Fabio, where he doesn't button the top 3 buttons.
Yeah. I don't see why this is so controversial and why everybody's got their panties in a bunch over this. It seems pretty common sense.
Well, I mean, okay, so what does it mean to look good? Like, yeah, everyone's heard the comments, oh, you look good.
Yeah,
what does that mean?
Normal? Like maybe not normal, but you look put together? That's better. That's more vague than you look good.
Okay, so if anybody's viewing this,
yeah,
have you ever grown up and heard your mom or your aunt or anybody, wow, you look handsome? What does that mean?
That you look attractive.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
So you look good means you are looking attractive, or you would have an attractive appearance to certain people.
Yeah. So I guess you gotta specify.
They're attracted to their sons. Don't get in a hole that.
No. I'm saying you gotta specify. There is a difference between general attraction and sexual attraction.
Yeah, but it's all this. It's different extremities of the same purpose.
Yeah.
If you are trying not to get noticed, I just need to go to the store to get a gallon of milk, and I really don't care. I could toss on some sweats and some sandals, not fix my hair. I really don't care. I have a purpose other than attracting anyone's attention. When you dress up to look good at all, it is to garner attraction from whoever. That is the purpose.
Well,
if you're not trying to look good for others, then who are you trying to look good for?
Well, I think you're using a little too broad or too narrow. Yeah, you're using too narrow of a definition of good, because good can be kind of a range from kind of okay to all right, pretty good. But then if you're looking at something, so that's what I'm saying. Good is kind of more of a mid-range.
Someone dressed just say, dude, you look good.
Yeah, look good doesn't. Yeah, if you're saying some dude looks good, you're not saying I want to have your babies.
No.
You're saying no.
That's not what I'm implying. But to look good means there is the potential for some sort of attractiveness. That is what looks good. Otherwise, it would not look good.
I would say general attractiveness, yes, because straight heterosexual men can look at another man and say, you look good, but it's not like I want your penis in me right now.
I understand.
But there are other things you're like, dude, that was okay. That's over the line. Like that. Like if I was a woman, I would totally be in your pants right now, sort of thing. It's like there's that distinction between.
That's the extra part that kind of throws it into the realm of you are trying to get this attraction.
Yes. Yeah.
So to simply look good means you can garner some attraction, but that might not be your intent. Once you start, you start styling your hair a very particular way, trying to expose your muscles and show your frame. Now you're going the extra mile to present that part of the attractiveness.
And so it's that
too much makeup, the blush,
and that's the extra mile.
Correct. It's intended not just to look good and people admire, say, "Hey, looking good today." It is meant to garner extra attraction.
Yeah, to have the guys be like, "Dude, do you see that? Wow!" Like, it's designed to leave a lasting impression. It's like, "Oh, hey, you look good," and then you walk on and you forget who you just talked to. That's like, they got you got attraction, but it's not like whereas the makeup and heels is more like, dude, I've been thinking about her all day. So it's like that, oh, you look good, you look nice, and you go on and you're like, oh. It's not like you think about her later on that day and like, dude, it's like, no, she looked nice, and then, okay, get on with the business. Don't, like, but when sometimes you'll see something, you're like, whew, that should be illegal or criminal to have at work, because that's just like, I can't get any work done today because all I'm thinking about is like, she's wearing that. So there's that. And well, see, the thing is a lot of these women are playing dumb, like they don't know. And you're like, dude, when you're wearing something that's kind of like, whoo, is it? I think that we need to turn the AC on double, because right now, there's that over the line where it's like, okay, that's where. All right, and she wore that to work again.
Yeah, no, I mean that happens. There's a whole discussion about the Daisy Dukes and the girls wearing the.
Oh, I'm not talking.
Their butts hanging out, and you're just like.
No, that's very
obvious.
Well, that would be something that would not be allowed in the workplace at all. But there are things that are appropriate for work that are not appropriate for work.
Yeah.
So.
Like if I don't know, if your shirt's open enough to where people can see the top of your bra, it's probably maybe button up a little. Why are you showing that at work?
Yeah, and even if nothing is showing, like an outfit that's like really tight, you're like, dude, how does she even walk in those pants? Or how does she even walk in that thing? Like, you can see everything. That's like, and women are like, oh no, this is just my regular work attire. And I'm like,
your chest hair's popping out everywhere. Maybe you need an undershirt.
Yeah,
that's not really work appropriate.
It's like the scene from Mystery Men. I think my pants are shrinking. All right. So it is just about 9:30. Oh, it is like 1 minute till. So I got one last thing to talk about. I don't have a good transition for this. This is just something stupid I saw and thought I had to comment on because. Okay. So this guy made a mistake. So his original tweet. Does he think that he's just created Labor Day? As you can see right here, there's this little official memorandum that came out. It says, now, therefore, I, Donald Trump, President of the U.S., virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution of the United States, is hereby proclaimed September 2nd, 2019 as Labor Day. That's his official memorandum stamp thing. This guy posts it and says, does he think he just created Labor Day? Okay, stupid. I can see him making a mistake and then being like, oh, that was dumb, delete it. He doubles down on this by calling attention to it and saying he deleted this tweet because he just realized Obama's Labor Day statement was the exact... It's because it's an official memorandum. Like, I could...
Every Labor Day.
Yeah, that comes out every Labor Day. And it's like, okay, this guy did this, didn't bother vetting any of this, found out his mistake, deleted it, and was like, oh, but whatever, I'm still going to post it. And I'm like, I don't know if this is okay. It's maybe double down is not the right. I don't understand the purpose of this. Is this him owning up to the mistake, or is this him rolling around in it? That's what I can't quite figure out. Because it seems like he's proud of the fact that he was this blinded by his ideology that he didn't bother to take 2 seconds to investigate whether this is a normal thing or not. And this guy, I think he's like he's a journalist at Vox, yeah. That's what I thought.
So did he just repost it with no additional comment?
No, so he says he deleted this tweet because Obama's Labor Day statement included the same language too. So I'm not sure if this guy...
Then maybe that sounds like he's kind of owning up and saying, okay, never mind. This is common.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I first read it, I was like, dude, what the... Did this guy just... I guess maybe he is owning up to it, and this is a self-own. But, Alright. So at least someone else didn't... Actually, I can't say at least somebody else didn't have to point it out to him, because maybe others did, and that's where he's like, oh, yeah. So, I guess maybe this is a positive thing, because somebody did something stupid, someone pointed it out, and rather than, okay, this is not a double down, yeah, this is the opposite of that, okay. Alright, this is unintentionally the good note to end on. Yeah. So this is actually a step in the right direction, because I don't know how many people, journalists and celebrities and
well,
just
there's no way you
randos...
could double down on that, because then you could just show Obama and then Bush and Clinton and anybody else that is issued an official Labor Day statement.
Yeah, I mean, and
look, they do this.
Yeah,
the world started sometime way before Trump.
Yeah,
get over it.
So this is probably the like somebody's admitting that they're wrong on Twitter. That's a bizarre phenomenon. Because even eggs don't admit that they're wrong, even when you show them credible proof of something that they said one thing, and then you show them a dictionary definition that says, nope, according to this, you're completely wrong, and they're like, oh, no, that's not, and okay.
Egg.
A Twitter egg is somebody who doesn't even have a personal profile. It's somebody who just created an account. It's kind of an anonymous account on Twitter.
Yeah. I don't know if that applies. I don't use Twitter.
Yeah, it's the idea. Like somebody who's got, like 3 tweets. But even those people, like, hey, they've got, no followers, no real tweets, whatever, but they say something stupid, and you're like, dude, did you not realize what you just said? That's contradicting this. And they're like, nope. Nope, you're wrong. Nope, you're wrong. You're wrong. I'm right. No. See, even though we've been talking for 20 minutes, you're wrong because I'm right. I'm like, insufferable. So I originally saw this. I mean, it's still laughable because this is kind of funny that the guy did this in the first place.
Why is that even worth commenting on in the first place?
What, the Labor Day thing?
Yeah.
No, it's because he's got TDS. But at least this guy acknowledges he's got TDS and he's like, oh yeah, that was kind of a mistake. My bad.
But I mean, if you read Trump's normal tweets and then you read that sounds like an official statement.
Yeah.
Versus everything else that comes out of his mouth or that he tweets out. That doesn't even seem like Trump.
Yeah, and I'm surprised this guy didn't just pass it off like a joke. It's like, dude, this is obvious sarcasm. Because that could have been... Not from the guy who writes for Vox. It's not obvious sarcasm because they're incapable of that.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, it is 9:35. I'm going to end it there. I do have stuff to do for work before I go to bed, so this will be a fun evening.
Yep.
Thanks for joining me, and I've got nothing else unless you've got something real quick that you want to do.
Nope. I think I'm good. Let you get to work.
All right. So that was it for today. I got under a 2-hour stream. All right. It's shooting for an hour and got an hour or got almost 2 hours. All right. Thanks for joining me on the stream. Anybody who comes and watch this, I try to do these streams every Tuesday at 7 o'clock or 7:30 sometimes. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next Tuesday.